Let's get to the latest, though, and unfortunately, we've got a grim new milestone to report here in the U.S. 1 million cases have now been recorded and 58,000 deaths. That surpasses the loss of American life from the Vietnam War.
Also overnight, to deal with a potential meat shortage at grocery stores, President Trump took executive action ordering processing plants to remain open. Meantime, the nation's largest operator of shopping malls is reportedly working on a plan to reopen 49 shopping centers across 10 states, and that is starting on Friday.
And the battle over what to do about schools is really heating up. The president saying he hopes students return to college campuses this fall. And now the CDC has released reopening guidelines for grade schools that include keeping desks 6 feet apart and no field trips or assemblies. In a moment, we're going to talk to California's governor, who says schools in his state could begin actually in July. We're going to start, though, with NBC's national correspondent, Miguel Almaguer, who's in Los Angeles for us this morning. Hi, Miguel. Good morning.
Savannah, good morning. From coast to coast, governors are trying to decide how and when to reopen states, saying they're making their decisions based off the data. Here in California, all eyes are on the numbers as the governor decides what's best for the economy and also how to stop the spread of the virus.
This morning, at least 11 states, from Colorado to Minnesota, are now partially reopened, and 6 more states, including Florida, Texas, and Nevada, have stay-at-home orders expiring tomorrow. In California, home to 40 million people in the world's 5th largest economy, Governor Gavin Newsom announcing a 4-phase plan to slowly reopen the state.
We are weeks, not months away.
Businesses that could soon reopen include retail with curbside pickup, manufacturing, childcare facilities, and public spaces like parks. The governor also saying students could begin a new school year as early as July. But some businesses, like sporting venues, churches, movie theaters, and hair salons, may not open for months. In the Bay Area, where shelter-at-home orders have been extended past Memorial Day, this barber says he's planning to reopen later this week, defying orders.
I believe it's a constitutional right for us to pursue life, liberty, and, the pursuit of happiness.
While much of Southern California closed their beaches weeks ago, Newport Beach remains open, even after tens of thousands crowded the shores. In Atlanta, where restaurants reopened this week, some diners seen social distancing, while others opting to eat outside.
Just good to get out of the house, and at least we feel like it's a safe environment.
In Miami, some South Beach parks, golf courses, and tennis courts are now open to residents. But this morning in New York City, the picture of outrage. The mayor blasting this crowd for gathering at a rabbi's funeral.
Everybody go home.
Saying he'll now instruct the NYPD to arrest those violating social distancing mandates. In a city where the death toll is approaching 18,000, the governor warns things won't get back to normal anytime soon.
We have to be smart about this. Emotions can't drive a reopening process.
Here in California, the governor says the aggressive measures being taken to curb the spread of the virus are working, and he worries reopening the economy too quickly will negate all of that progress. Savannah?
All right, Miguel, and on that subject, we actually spoke with Governor Newsom shortly after he outlined California's reopening plan, and we did talk about where things stand there, and yes, that fear about moving too fast. You said that by no stretch is California out of the woods, and you said if we pull back too quickly, it could start a second wave that could be even more damaging than the first. How worried are you about that very outcome?
I'm worried we can erase all the gains in a very short period of time. We've made so much progress, and we just don't want to run the 90-yard dash. You saw the images. A couple of our beaches, 100 beaches in California, were clear, but there were a couple beaches in California over the weekend that just highlighted a shift in behavior over a short period of time that is a real concern and point of caution.
You see other states beginning to reopen, some more aggressively than others. Does that make your pitch as the governor of California harder when you have Californians saying, well, wait a minute, these other states are getting back in business. We're suffering too.
There's no question it puts pressure. I'd be lying to suggest otherwise. I don't dismiss any of those protests or any of those points of criticism. But one thing I will dismiss is the pressure as points of guidance. It will be data and health that guide our decision making.
You've said it's weeks, not months, before some return, some reopening. What do you mean by that?
In a few weeks, we believe we can modify our stay-at-home order and expand the notion of what's available in manufacturing and logistics at retail stores and begin to have this important conversation. When do we get our kids back in schools safely? And one of the things we socialized, the idea of starting the next school year earlier in the state of California to address the issue of learning loss.
That's going to be music to a lot of parents' ears, the notion that their kids could go back to school at all. I think many parents, such as myself, we fear that they're going to tell us there is no school next year. And you're saying potentially kids can go back and maybe even earlier?
Well, we're hopeful. And again, the data will make that determination for us. It's not back to normal. It's modified. That means potentially staggering school times for different cohorts of kids. It means the recess period being radically modified. It means the cafeteria being shut down and people getting food around their desks, deep sanitation, ventilation strategy. So it's very difficult. But we've got to do that. If we're ever going to get the economy moving again, we've got to allow parents the ability to go back to work that can't afford childcare. And we've got to do it in a way that keeps our kids safe and our teachers safe and ultimately our communities safe.
Do you feel like the federal government, the White House, the task force has been there with the resources you need sufficiently?
In many cases, they have. And I'm just speaking candidly and honestly for the state of California. Last week, I called the president personally and said we need more swabs for specimen collection so we could substantially increase our testing capacity. They were delivered the next day. Not every governor is saying the same thing. But one of the things, Savannah, I mean this, the bottom of my heart, I'm really focused on doing my job, trying to save lives day in and day out, putting my head down. I'm trying to avoid the finger pointing and the hand wringing. There's just too many American lives at stake here in the state of California. And to the extent we need more support, we do. But we also have to be resourceful. And California, as a nation state, has the capacity, I think, to do more than many. And we need to be held to account as well. Do
you feel in your gut that the worst is behind you in California?
I love the way you've asked that question, in my gut. I'm not driven by my gut in this respect. I'm driven by data. But you asked a question directly. Let me answer. In my gut, I do, with this caveat, only if we take seriously these next phases. If people just assume, like they did down in Newport Beach over the weekend, that the virus is going to take the weekend off or maybe go on summer vacation, then we're in real trouble with a potential second wave that erases all the progress and potentially puts literally tens of thousands of lives at risk. And so we do, I think, have to be cautious, and data will drive our decision making.
All right. Governor Gavin Newsom of California, thank you for your time, sir. We really appreciate it.
Honor to be with you.
Hoda, it was so interesting to hear him talk about this notion of schools. He's talking about actually, could the next semester start earlier, start in July or August, because he said, frankly, there is evidence that there's been a loss of learning for kids. And I think a lot of us who are trying to homeschool our kids can relate to that. So we'll see if that's something that's able to happen in California or anywhere else.
It does sound promising. Yeah, I hadn't heard that notion before that we could start the school year earlier, but that would certainly be a good step forward. So yeah, that was a great interview. Meantime, Dr. Anthony Fauci also weighing, and he's out with a new warning about the reopening of America and what could happen if states move too quickly. NBC's Kristen Welker's at the White House with more on that and why the vice president is under fire this morning. Hey, Kristen.
Hey, Hoda, good morning. That's right. The vice president is under scrutiny this morning for visiting the Mayo Clinic without wearing a mask. It comes as President Trump is striking a defiant note on the critical issue of testing, tweeting this morning, the reason the U.S. now has more than 1 million cases of coronavirus is because, quote, our testing is so much better than any other country in the world. Still, some health experts say testing is not yet where it needs to be in order to reopen the country.
This morning, President Trump insisting the nation is on the road to recovery. Now that our experts believe the worst days of the pandemic are behind us, Americans are looking forward to the safe and rapid reopening of our country.
But for that to happen, the U.S. needs at least 5 million COVID-19 diagnostic tests per day by June, according to a new study by Harvard University. And while President Trump unveiled a new blueprint to boost testing this week, the numbers in his plan were not that high. On Tuesday, NBC News pressed the president. You unveiled a plan yesterday that will increase testing, but not by that much. Why not? And can you get to that benchmark?
We'll increase it, and it'll increase it by much more than that in the very near future.
Are you saying you're confident you can surpass 5 million tests per day? Is that?
Well, we're going to be there very soon.
Dr. Anthony Fauci also vowing testing will be ramped up by the beginning of summer, but warning that reopening too early could spark additional outbreaks.
It could be a rebound to get us right back in the same boat that we were in a few weeks ago. So that's why we've really got to be careful and very circumspect as we go from a lockdown to a gradual rolling re-entry.
It comes as the head of the coronavirus task force, Vice President Mike Pence, is being criticized by some after visiting the Mayo Clinic without wearing a mask, despite the hospital's guidelines that all patients and visitors do so. In a tweet that was later deleted, the Mayo Clinic saying it had shared the masking policy with the VP's office. The vice president explaining his decision, saying he is tested regularly.
And since I don't have the coronavirus, I thought it'd be a good opportunity for me to be here, to be able to speak to these researchers, these incredible healthcare personnel, and look them in the eye and say thank you.
And a development to tell you about overnight, President Trump signed an executive order to compel meat processing plants to stay open. It is aimed at preventing shortages in pork, chicken, and other products. Now, that move comes as meat plants around the country have been impacted by workers getting sick with the virus, and after Tyson Foods warned millions of pounds of meat could disappear from the supply chain without action. Savannah?
All right, Kristen Welker at the White House. Thanks, Kristen. And now to the war of words that's erupted between the U.S. and China. After the president suggested the Chinese government should compensate the rest of the world for mishandling the coronavirus outbreak leading to this pandemic. NBC's Janice Mackey-Frere is in Beijing for us this morning. Hi, Janice. Good morning.
Good morning, Savannah. China's government is pushing back against President Trump's suggestion that it pay compensation to the U.S. or to anyone for the coronavirus pandemic. We sat down with Lu Yucheng. He is the highest-ranking Chinese official to address the pandemic with foreign media here. And we asked him who should be accountable and whether Americans can trust China's numbers.
In an exclusive interview with NBC News, China's executive vice foreign minister likened the calls for compensation to blackmail.
Those claims are preposterous. They present an out-and-out political farce. First of all, asking China to make reparations or these kind of claims, they have no legal basis. There is no international law that supports blaming a country for simply being the first to report a disease.
The pandemic has spiked tensions between China and the U.S., with each side accusing the other of downplaying the virus. President Trump now calling for an investigation.
It should have been stopped at the source, which was China. It should have been stopped very much at the source, but it wasn't. And now we have 184 countries going through hell.
But China argues the pandemic is now politicized. A foreign ministry spokesperson even saying politicians in the U.S. are, quote, lying through their teeth. With fewer reported infections and restrictions easing, China is now mounting an all-out campaign to quash criticism and shape how the world sees its response to the virus, at times raising its own theories linking the virus to the U.S. military, and official Twitter feeds questioning U.S. transparency about its case numbers.
The numbers, I think, only point to the effectiveness of China's response efforts. They show China's experience, not China covering up.
So Americans can be 100% confident in the numbers? 100%?
Yes. Since the outbreak started, China has been criticized for withholding information and suppressing whistleblowers. But the government here claims there was enough time to act between the lockdown of Wuhan and the state of emergency in the U.S.
The US government should be aware of what was going on in the world. But in this 50-day interval, what was the US government doing? Where have those 50 days gone?
That was Janice Mackey-Frere reporting with her exclusive interview. 7:17 now. Hoda, back to you.
All right, we've got some big news out of Hollywood this morning. For the first time ever, streaming films will be eligible for the 2021 Oscars. The Academy of Motion Pictures, Arts and Sciences announced that rule change on Tuesday due to the coronavirus pandemic. Previously, rules dictated that all films must be shown in theaters for at least 7 consecutive days to be eligible. However, not all films will qualify to be considered. The streamed film must have already had a planned theatrical release. So another way to get into the Oscar running.
Okay, good. All right, let's get a check of the weather. Al, you've been busy this morning. I know you're tracking severe storms. How's it going?
Well, we are watching this line of storms. In fact, it qualifies as something we call in the weather biz a derecho. It's a sustained storm system, and you can see it's destructive. It goes anywhere for at least 58 mile per hour. It has to travel at least 250 miles per hour. And this thing is traveled at 600 miles per hour, 600 miles, should say in distance. It stretches now from Texas all the way into Louisiana and parts of Mississippi. We have tornado, severe thunderstorm watches out. We also have 15 million people at risk for damaging winds, isolated tornadoes, and hail possible. This system will push east, and it'll bring storms from the Gulf Coast to the southeast, heavy rain from Illinois into Wisconsin, and then tomorrow it moves into the mid-Atlantic and northeast, bringing flood watches, gusty storms from the Carolinas into Florida. And on Friday, a new low develops. It moves into the north, and this is going to bring a ton of rain and strong winds from the northeast on into New England. Rainfall amounts anywhere from 3 to 5 inches, with some locally heavier amounts, and we could see actually some local flooding stretching from the mid-Atlantic northeast on into New England.